Something about
And there's
sitting over by
there was
the
a,
And we're live.
okay.
You got that on tape?
All right. Call the meeting to order. Richard, do you want to do the roll call?
Now you expect me to remember everybody's name. Chris?
Here.
Otis?
Here.
I'm here, Richard. Tom? Dave.
Here.
All right.
And Tom, or who's on the phone?
Harold.
Harold's on the phone. Okay.
And then Yancey's not here.
And Yancey is not available. Okay. Do we have any amendments to the previous meeting's minutes? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I move we approve the minutes as they are.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have any amendments to today's agenda? Do we have a motion to approve today's agenda?
I so move.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to the public hearing. Do we have a motion to open, do we want to just do one motion for opening all the public hearings? Okay. Do we have a motion to open the public hearing section of the meeting?
I so move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's begin with a public hearing for an application from Richard Aho and Gail Herlick Aho for a conditional use permit for a net house in a single-family residential district at 110 Cornelius Road. Do we have anybody here to testify to this public hearing? Yes.
I'm looking at you, Dick.
Yep.
Since I'm here, I better
Yep.
take my time.
Yes.
I'm Dick Aho. I live on Cornelius Road, and my wife and I are the applicants for this net house. So I thought it would be worthwhile explaining why we want to build a net house. This all started when we decided that we would like to sell our existing house on Cornelius Road and then build a new house along Wrangell Narrows on a lot that we own. And it's a small lot. It's right across the highway from Rockies Marine. Our current house is on a large lot. Actually, it's two lots side by side. We got lots of space. And we have a large garage, and I have a shop. And we've lived there for 35 years, and we've accumulated a lot of stuff. And some of that stuff is fishing related. We have 3 boats now. 2 of them are licensed hand troll boats, and quite a few other fishing related items. Now the problem that we have is we don't have enough room on a small lot on Wrangell Narrows for all of our stuff. We're proposing that our solution is that we would build this net house. In the net house, we'd store the 3 boats and the crab traps, the shrimp traps, the buoys, the piles of line, the large ice chests, the totes, and that sort of thing. And I'd also like to have enough room in that net house for a small shop so I can work on that equipment. That's the reason we're here. At this point, do you get to ask questions? Or?
Is there any?
My only question is, so then when you guys sell the house,
Yeah.
then what happens to the net house? You keep the net house and you would subdivide that lot? No.
No, the existing house sits on 2 lots.
Okay.
That would go as a parcel.
I see. Okay.
The lot that the net house would go on is up the road,
All right.
a couple
okay.
100 feet.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. Up from the house. Right. Okay.
Attention.
Do we have any additional testimony? Since we have no additional testimony on that public hearing, let's move on to the application from Bill Manish for a conditional use permit to allow for a two-family dwelling in industrial zone at 710 South Nordic. Do you have any testimony to this public hearing? Seems we have no testimony in this public hearing. Let's move on to the public hearing for Raymond and Berthel Evans for a minor subdivision at 405 Sandy Beach Road. Do we have any testimony to this public hearing? We have no testimony of this public hearing. Let's move on to the public hearing for an application from the Petersburg Borough to vacate a portion of public easement 919 Sandy Beach Road. Now, I understand we've received a request from an adjoining property owner to postpone this item. Do we want to hold on to discussing that at the, do we want to discuss it this time, or do we want to discuss it in the, later, about postponing this public hearing?
Yeah, I wasn't able to, I guess the reason it's not listed on the public hearing is I wasn't able to put notice out on that, because the application came in after we'd already put the agenda together. So, but I wanted to put it in there since if you take action on the other items, it's going to preclude.
Right.
Yeah. I think you would probably want to consider it when you are considering your action.
Okay.
And go ahead and do the public hearing since we've noticed it and people
Yeah.
have already come for the second time
Yeah.
to talk about this, so. If that's okay.
Okay. So, does anybody have any testimony to the Petersburg Borough to vacate a portion of the public easement at 919 Sandy Beach Road?
Hi, I'm Tim Keeneman. I live at 917 Sandy Beach Road. And my property abuts, I guess we call it 919 Sandy Beach Road. I bought the property in 1972. We built a house on it in 1978. So we've lived there for quite a while. And I'm confused now because my understanding is there is no public easement on that lot. So, and if we're going to vacate a portion of it, I guess I don't understand the reason to do that either. But I really want to talk about the rezone when it's all said and done. So when you get to that point, I'll come back. Or maybe Liz can explain about the
Well,
easement
if
that
there's
isn't there.
nobody else to talk about the vacating the easement, we could move on to the rezone.
There's one more.
Or you would like to talk about that? Okay.
Go ahead, Alan. Sure.
Okay. I'm Alan Murph, the surveyor that was working on this project, and the easement, I can answer any questions if concerning that. I believe we're working, Tim and I are both working towards the same goal. There's confusion whether there is an easement, whether there is not. What I would like to propose is that working with the city, we put in it would be called a easement vacation quitclaim deed, which will clear up any confusion and totally get rid of that easement. If there is one, it gets rid of it. If there isn't one, then it's no harm is done. So that's the whole point of vacating that easement is, so that's what if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer that.
Yes.
Well, I'll just go through my logic. My patent has no easement. And I brought a copy of the patent with me, and I provided a copy to the city on 3 different occasions over the last 20, 25 years, whatever it's been. And I understand even my original survey shows a possible easement going through there. And some of the confusion on that particular easement comes from probably way back when North Nordic was done, and some of the people that resided at the top of what's now Eagles Roost were moved. And I've seen the easement on U.S. Survey 3276, which abuts 919 Sandy Beach Road, and it has a quitclaim deed in it, and the purpose of that easement was for gravel removal from Sandy Beach. And it reads something to the effect that when the purpose of that was no longer needed, then there's a quitclaim deed in it, that it reverts to the 4 property owners along there, which is property, I can't remember, N, L, and JK or something like that. Because there's been some replatting of land along there. But again, that's in the adjacent area of U.S. Survey 3276, not in 919 or Lot 10, whichever you want to call it. So that's where I'm confused. And then Liz sent me the other day that the title search shows no easement for Lot 919. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, that's what they said, but they also said at the same time, which isn't really particularly helpful, that they couldn't find anything, but that doesn't mean that nothing exists. So,
well, I think,
which is their standard caveat for everything.
Well, I think that you're going to have to go back to, which I've tried to do. It's a very laborsome process to spend the hours in the land office in Juneau. Everything for the projects along there has been archived in Anchorage. And you get on a computer and you go through, and you actually have to go through it one permit, Alaska Division Land Permit at a time. Alan's probably much more familiar with it than I am. So that's why my confusion is. I view it as there is no easement there, even though possible easement that you're talking about shows going through my survey, which was originally done by Bricky way back when. But my patent has no easement in it. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to clarify, too, that the part that would potentially be vacated is just the part on
Lot 919.
Lot 10, yeah.
Or Lot
So
10,
it wouldn't
yeah.
affect Mr.
right. No,
Keenan's
I understand that,
property.
Liz.
And then I just had a question for Mr. Keeneman, too, which was if the borough ends up putting in a 20-foot wide private access and utility easement, do you have any opposition to establishing that?
Lots.
Lots of opposition? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
But that has to do with the rezoning.
well, actually, that's part of what would happen as part of the vacation of the easement. You vacate one and then you establish the other. So that would just be helpful to hear, too, what the objection would be to establishing that private easement, so, which could be now or later, but just
Sure. Well,
like to hear it, too.
however you want to proceed. I mean, I can wait until item E comes up and then speak to that.
Well, do we want to move on to item E at this point? Are there any other comments on item D, which is the vacation of the easement? Yeah, Dave.
No, we can deal with this later, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the public hearing for the Planning Commission to initiate a rezone from public use to single-family residential at 919 Sandy Beach Road. Do we have anybody who wants to testify? Go right ahead.
Well, first, a little history, I guess. When the state land sale that went on in 1972, when I originally bought my property, the state didn't sell that piece of property, 919 Sandy Beach Road. Like I said, I've been through the archives a little bit in Juneau trying to access that information. I believe that the state didn't sell it because they understood that it didn't have access to the Sandy Beach Road at that point in time. In April of 1977, I applied to the state to buy that land before I built my current house just so I'd have the total picture of what was going on before I started work on it. At that point in time, the state then notified the city, that there was somebody interested in purchasing the land. And then the city selected that land, and I lost my opportunity to buy that. The city selected the land. The planner at the time was a fellow named Bill Jones, and the South Harbor development was going in, and his intention, just from personal conversations with him, was to trade that land to some of the property owners along the South Harbor, which he found out he couldn't do. And I think also entered into that was the fact that it didn't have any legal access to Sandy Beach Road. Sandy Beach Road itself is situated where it was not designed to be where it is. That blind corner that you have that elevates and goes around the corner was supposed to be much more moderate, but they ran into a big pile of rock there when they went in there, and so they've moved it out to the extent of the 50-foot right-of-way of the original design. And at the time that the city bought it, nothing happened for a period of time. And then when the development on, Frederick Point went on, it was at some point in time classified as green zone, which was fine with me because that maintained my privacy. And so I've made a considerable investment in 919 with my house and my garage. And now that's all going to change after 38 years. So I would prefer that it remains as green zone, and then the city takes a look at it and goes in and deals with many of the problem trees that exist on that land. Everything there is shallow rooted. There are trees that are, 120 feet or plus higher now. Large chunks of some of those trees have already fallen out. Matter of fact, there's one hung up in part of a tree next to it right now, about a 25-foot section that's probably, 12 or 15 inches in diameter at one end. So it needs some tender loving care by the city. Otherwise, and then the other thing that's changing there, of course, which is going to happen if it is developed, is you're going to change the wind as it comes through there. It's already, Polly had, after the replat of JLK, whatever it is there with Evans, we've had 3 trees fall over. We've had 2 that happened on 2 different occasions now. One landed on our car. And this winter, I had a chunk of tree about 5 inches in diameter land just at the base of the stairs going up to my deck. So it does need some care. So, thank you.
Do we have any additional testimony on the rezone? We have no additional testimony. Let's move on to the public hearing for an application from Patrick Fowler for a home occupation at 707 Rambler Street.
My name is Patrick Fowler. I'm the homeowner at 707 and also the applicant. I don't have a whole lot to add other than what's in your materials there that was submitted with the application, but I'm happy to take any questions. And just to clarify, this is kind of a small hobby business of mine, building custom countertops. Not my primary line of work, and it was just a matter of that's where my current residence is. There's kind of an outdoor shop there, and it I don't do it on a scale that warrants buying a commercial facility. It's just kind of a small business. So I wanted to apply for this variance. Happy to take any questions or concerns.
Any questions?
Noise?
No, noise would definitely be the biggest concern. A table saw is the loudest thing going on. I would try to keep that during the normal kind of business hours where it's not going to impact people, no late night work, early morning work, or just try to be courteous to my neighbors.
What type of hours are you proposing?
Probably weekend work, maybe between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m., something like that.
Okay.
Are you going to enclose that carport? Is it so anything like a table saw that you're running would be no more than somebody having a table saw in their garage?
Right.
So I know it's an open carport now. I just wondered, so you are going to enclose that area where you're going to be actually doing work, so you won't be, okay.
Yep, that's my intent is to.
I was wondering, I thought you weren't going to just have it open there and then it wouldn't dissipate the noise out there, but if you're enclosed,
Right.
it will.
Yeah. Basically turn that open into a closed garage
Okay.
shop space.
Because I haven't seen, you really haven't given plans on that yet.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Dave?
Did any of the neighbors comment?
Should be one in there. Not in there. There was a letter that someone submitted after the cancellation of the last meeting that opposed it because of noise and that it was a residential neighborhood. I think were the 2 points that they made.
Is that an Indian neighbor?
Apologize, I thought it had been dropped in there and it's not in there, but there was that one letter.
Yeah.
And you're not sure whether it was an immediate neighbor or?
I can't recall. It was on the street, but I can't remember exactly where it was.
I was over in the neighborhood a couple of weeks ago, and somebody mentioned it and said, I don't see a problem. There were just a couple of people that they weren't real close to your house. One of them said something like, the kids make more noise than he will, probably.
Yeah, I haven't talked to any of my neighbors that voiced concern with me directly, but I definitely want to respect, that, noise consideration there. If there's something that I could do to minimize impact on the neighbors, I'd happily do that. If someone had a suggestion or
But I guess the volume, this is, what do you anticipate? There's not that many countertops that go in Petersburg.
Exactly,
Not
yeah.
exporting, are you?
No, not exporting. Very small.
Yeah.
I'd probably say, maybe between 6 and 10 countertops a year, something like that. Probably one a month is about as many as I could possibly do. So,
just to put things in perspective, since I know the business, if you were to do somebody's kitchen, a normal kitchen, how many hours of table sawing to get your base boards would you actually be doing?
Maybe 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, I just see this as, to do a kitchen, you're gonna roll, and I don't know, you're gonna have a planer too, or an edge planer and anything like that?
No, some small hand tools like a palm sander and
palm sander.
Jigsaw and things.
Obviously, the winding of a table saw, but it just doesn't take that much table sawing to do a kitchen job.
When you're doing concrete, right?
Yeah, like a wood substrate with some concrete.
Yeah, you get the base of
Yeah.
I've seen some of the work. But for the commission just to know that,
Yeah.
you, Richard, you know too, that doesn't, you're not doing that much table sawing, and that is going to be the whiniest thing in this operation.
Right, so I guess my concern is you're not starting up an industrial countertop producing facility in a residential area.
No, I have no intention to go into mass production here or full-time operation even. This is just the side project.
And then one other thing I watch too is with the neighbors is traffic, and the chances if you have a customer, you would go to their house, probably get their dimensions, and
Right, yeah.
site visits would be limited except for, yeah.
Right, I don't anticipate.
Those are the things I got to watch later on, is that you don't have vans pulling up every other day.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's for, some of those I anticipate, with new home construction, and, the construction might actually take place on site, and
Yeah.
whatever's easier for the homeowner. And
I guess, once again, I'll ask a question, why do we even need to do this? Okay, that's all I'll say. I mean, it seems like it's basically a hobby-type activity. It's not a hobby activity, but it's, I'm just wondering, once again, the necessity for this ordinance to exist the way it does. That has nothing at all to do with your project. It's just my personal pet peeve. Okay, yes, I'll.
You take this book home and rewrite it.
Well, if there's no further questions, is there any additional testimony? If there's no additional testimony, do we have a motion to close the public hearing section?
I so move.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any visitors' views related to agenda items? Do we have any visitors' views unrelated to agenda items? Report of staff members. Liz? Anything?
Yes, actually, something.
Okay.
Just to follow up on a request that was made, I don't know, a couple months ago, I think it was Dave, who wanted to see a new subdivision ordinance. And while I don't have it right now, I want to let you know that we are, in the next few months, going to work on rewriting the subdivision ordinance as well as the zoning ordinance to sort of veer closer to what's in the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
So at some point, we should have a discussion on, not to necessarily today because I'm not particularly ready, but on how you want to proceed to do that, because it is a big job. It also involves kind of looking at the zoning map again and aligning the new zoning districts with the comprehensive plan, the land, the future land use in the comprehensive plan. Also looking at all the existing ordinances. Some of the things we're addressing are things like the home occupation permit and whether we could streamline that a little bit and have a clearer threshold of when you would have to come to the commission. And have that spelled out so it's very clear when you do and when you don't. And if you don't need to, then, you go on your merry way. So to try and streamline a few processes that maybe end up here that don't necessarily need to end up here all the time. But I just wanted to let you know that I didn't forget, and probably this fall and into winter, we're going to start working on that.
Just on that topic, have you seen the plat map that they have for the new subdivision they're doing out at the intersection of Happy's and Metcalf Highway?
I have seen that, and when we come forward with a draft, and obviously it's going to be up to you and the assembly to change that and make the adjustments. One of the basic and one of the minimum requirements and one of the few requirements outside of Service Area 1, I think, is going to be that if there isn't water and sewer, especially sewer service, and there isn't a community-based sewer system as part of the subdivision, then we'll have a minimum lot size of 1 acre so that the new owner can accommodate an on-site septic system. That's something that the state, I thought, would enforce, but they haven't been enforcing when they review the plats. And so that's why we're ending up with lots that are even less than a half acre in size in some cases in areas where there is no sewer system in place.
And have you observed how nonsensical some of the access lines are? I mean, all I'm saying is that subdivision is just going to be a present they'll keep on giving to future planning and zoning commissions for many decades into the future.
Yeah, I think that one is particularly troublesome, the way it's designed, especially to extend utility service out there. So I think that's another thing to look at, is if people are expecting electricity even, then they need to get the okay from Power and Light to make sure that it's designed in a way that they can be efficient in the way they extend power and put poles out there. And I think that's a good example of where it's not well designed for that. But you make a good point of the importance of putting something together.
Well, I'm just saying, it's just we're behind the, I mean, these things are going forward right now while we're not, and I don't know if they have any more in the works or not, but I've heard rumors of the university starting to do some more additional subdividing out the road. So that's just my concern.
Yeah, and I think it also protects any of the people who purchase those lots to make sure that they've got a usable lot rather than creating something that's going to be problematic for them. So, any other reports?
Oh, and nothing new on the airport.
Nothing new on the airport.
They asked if we were using that property for anything, and we told them that we were not, and that was probably a month ago, and I haven't heard anything more.
Okay, well, that is all on that. Let's move on to unfinished business. Let's see here. We need a motion for adoption of findings of fact for previous approval of a conditional use permit for a trailer during construction at 202 South Frederick Drive. Liz, do you want to fill us in on that?
Sure.
What's going on?
Well, at the last meeting you had, you approved this conditional use permit, but the findings of fact were actually to deny, and that's what got signed, because that was our recommendation. So you actually have to approve findings of fact that approve conditional use permit. And there are some potential findings of fact here for you that you could approve or amend as you see fit.
Okay. What page is that on?
Page 16.
Thank you.
What page was that?
Page 16.
Chris?
Yes.
If I recall, one of our concerns too was all the storage of materials on the lot too.
That was
addressed in here, right?
That was one of the things we discussed, was the storage of materials and wastewater were the two biggies.
Right, okay.
And that's what I wanted to make sure that there was something in there about wastewater.
Yeah, there is.
And that is. So,
And we also have it sunsetting July 1st, 2018.
yes.
And if I could ask Joe, if
Go ahead.
That's pretty easy to enforce, isn't it? He's got to have a place built, and the stuff's got to be out there by July 1st, 2018.
Yeah.
That's not creating a big burden.
No, it's for enforcement, you mean?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Obviously, if he's got the gun there and that house just gets done at July 1st, we would probably work with him to get that stuff
Okay.
out of there in a timely
Yeah.
manner, 30, 60 days or something, but that,
Yeah.
by all means, the certificate of occupancy shall be issued by July 1st or he's out of compliance with the whole spiel.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks, what you've got here looks good to me. Do we have a motion? To adopt the findings of fact?
I make a motion to adopt the findings of fact.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Consideration of an application from Richard Aho and Gail Herlick Aho for a conditional use permit for a net house and single-family residence at 110 Cornelius Road. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
Second?
Second?
Discussion? My concern on it, and it looks like there's enough space, but I wanted to check with staff on setbacks, is there still enough space on that lot to build a single-family residence? Because if we're just approving a big net house that makes it impossible to build a single-family residence, then it would be more appropriate to change the zoning on that lot than just issue, but as long as there's space to, at some time in the future, if somebody wants to build a house on there, that there's space to do that, I don't see a problem with it. That was my concerns in reading this one. It looked to me like there probably was.
There's quite a bit looking at it.
Yeah, because it looks like we had, over on this side, it's 100 feet across, and we're 45 feet, so there's 55 feet. What's the setback on the side setback?
10.
It's 10. So, and then you have 10 feet separation, so there should be enough room for 35 feet width of a building to go in there next to the net shed. So that was my concern. Just if somebody were to build, this is not to scale, obviously, but somebody could build a house over in that side yard.
There's quite a bit of space.
Yeah,
in
and there's
the
quite a bit of
front it,
space in the
too.
front, too. So, I think it's like, but you've got a setback.
On a
and-
residential,
and
you got 20-foot setback on the front.
on the front, and then you've got to have 10 feet of separation from the other building, minimum. So that was just my concerns in viewing this application. But any other discussion? What?
It's a 100 by 125 lot, and it's
Yeah.
a 30 by 36 building with a little carport or shed.
Yeah.
There's plenty of building
Okay.
left for a decent-sized house.
Yeah. So I was more concerned with positioning on the lot, if that's going to make it difficult, but it looks to me like it'll work. But I just want to get your input as well on that.
Whatever happens, a net shed fits right in with the neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's industrial right
Yeah.
across the street.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another one of those anomalies in zoning that we did
Right.
here in town that mixed residential with industrial.
But since it's staying single-family zoning, and we're just offering the conditional use, or you're asking for a conditional use permit, let's make sure it can still stay single-family if somebody's so
Yeah,
willing to do so.
no,
You know.
right.
Any other questions, discussion?
I'll just make note that if you approve these findings of fact, that the hearing date is actually August 23rd, not July 25th as in there.
Yeah.
Just so that
Yeah, I think having
I'll
the
have to-
dates
I would have to
in the
say that.
paperwork from the last
Yeah, I'll have to say
packet
that
has
probably at
created
every-
some confusion.
every time, so,
So-
just so we're,
Yeah,
make note of it.
so, so with the amendment of changing the dates, do we want to vote on this motion? Is everybody? Dave, everybody, you ready to?
Yeah, I'm,
Okay.
I don't have a, yes. Yeah, I'll make a motion that we,
We have a motion, we just have to vote.
oh, okay, I see,
I got
right.
a question
Yeah.
here.
Sure.
I don't know how people are going to vote here, but if that building was moved back a little farther, would that hurt?
The only reason I kind of have it located near the center of the lot is so I wasn't ever infringing on the side yard setback. I can push it back to
You could push it back to the 20 feet without any problem? I don't know if that's a problem of approving that or not.
I think the lot's big enough that I don't think there's an issue to be able to build a single-family residence where it sits.
It'd certainly be easier, though, if it was.
It would be easier if it was back another 10 feet.
Oh, so I think I was.
We just change that 30-foot dimension to 20 on the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, and with our approval, you don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So what was the word on the setbacks now?
Just
Was
to
it,
move it back a condition.
was that going to be
10
a
feet.
condition of the variance? Or the condition of the conditional use permit? That,
Condition of the condition, yeah.
is that, I just want to note so
Yeah.
I know it. when it-
You want to put that as a condition, Otis?
Yeah, if it's easy to do and it helps pass.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to leave enough room there so somebody could construct a house at some point
Yeah,
in the future?
in the front of the lot.
Okay,
Not that it will likely ever happen, but,
right.
you know, it fits within the character of the zoning.
Yeah, all of this is perfectly legal if,
Yeah.
without a permit, if there was a house there.
Yeah. Without a conditional use permit, you mean? Yeah.
So you just want a condition saying that, cite it so that it's in the back corner?
Yeah, we'll just put it to 20 feet off the
20
back,
foot.
the 20
Okay.
feet off the back.
Sure,
If I understand it correctly, this 30-foot,
maybe 20.
just change it to 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question?
Moved and seconded with the amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay. And we have to do a motion on the findings of fact on that as a separate, so do a motion to accept the findings of fact with the amendment?
Yes.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving on to C, consideration of an application from Bill Manish for a conditional use permit to allow for a two-family dwelling in an industrial district at 710 South Nordic Drive. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion.
A second?
Discussion?
Mr. Chairman, just to point out that there is a letter from neighboring property owner on page 30, in case.
On page 30?
Yep,
Thank you.
I've seen that.
I've seen it, but I will look at it again.
From Olivia Nelson. As the northern adjoining property owner, I would like to have my input on record concerning the request. for a conditional use permit for a two-family dwelling. I have no objection to the two-family dwelling being built in an industrial zone area as long as the property owners and residents residing on the property understand that it is an industrial area and they do not object when I choose to develop my adjoining property in industrial manner, or if I should choose to follow their lead and build it as residential or combination of either.
I know we discussed this in the comprehensive plan concerning that portion of the waterfront being of important industrial use. Joe?
Was Mr. Manisha, was he able to get a hold of him at all?
He's out of town.
He is out of town. Okay. Well, the history, as this progressed, he came in at first and was going to build this warehouse and an apartment on above, which would be a caretaker dwelling, which was obvious we wouldn't be here for that. Plans came in, his plans changed. All of a sudden, it's the warehouse underneath, the dwelling up above, caretaker dwelling, as you might call it. And then he added this little efficiency one-bedroom, I don't know if it's an efficiency or one-bedroom. It's a small little apartment on the water side on the front. That's when life changed as far as having to get a permit. So it was all well and good till he put that apartment below there, and all of a sudden it became not just a warehouse with a caretaker dwelling, but now a warehouse with a caretaker dwelling and an apartment, so it's in a sense a duplex almost.
Right.
That's how it came down. And the building didn't change size, didn't change anything. What changed is he put an apartment below there, so that's why we're here.
I don't have it right off the top of my head here, but do you happen to have what the square footage of that downstairs apartment is versus the warehouse?
Well, it's definitely
Or
smaller.
we have to
than the warehouse.
figure it out.
Yeah, he's got basically the warehouse shop plus that big carport for his boats on the side.
Yeah.
I don't remember what
It's here, but it's hard to figure out. It's page 37, right?
Yeah.
This is the lot that's got the little net shed on it?
No, so it's under construction right now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty well framed up and pretty well, it's got a little cupola type thing up on top.
Okay.
The little reading
Yeah.
room. Yeah, I don't know whether it's done for now. I don't know if he's going to take it any further till next year or not. I don't know what the program is. I haven't heard from him much.
So he can build what he's built. I mean, okay, my understanding of the current zoning regulation of industrial property, you can put a house there, correct? What we're talking about is a change from the comprehensive plan. No. Okay.
You can put a caretaker dwelling, which could be
Okay.
a house.
Right.
So you could do that, and he did, which is the upstairs portion of it.
Right.
But now he's adding a second dwelling,
A second dwelling.
and that's where we need a conditional use permit in order to put that second dwelling in.
Put that apartment below. And look at the industrial zone, if you wanted to, shake it up, that caretaker dwelling language should be looked at. There's been, the industrial zone there on that waterfront, there's been 3 houses built with the caretaker dwelling tag.
There's no size limit on the
No.
caretaker dwelling.
Yeah, and the other question is, what percentage of the property is being industrial, or is it just being a caretaker dwelling and then no
There's
industrial? So
There's no
that's-
requirement for that either.
Yeah.
When Dave finishes writing the book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
no,
put it
there's
on
nothing
Dave's
that,
lap.
nothing that stipulates how big the house or the warehouse has
Yeah.
to be as opposed to how much land you have. So, that's,
Well, he can build right to the property line on all sides. Is that right?
he would still have to abide by
Fire
fire
code,
codes if you got too
Yeah.
close to the property lines.
Yeah, but he could build and then put fireproof material on
Yeah.
top.
Size of this, page 37 is the plans for that downstairs apartment, isn't it?
It's hard to read.
It is hard to read. That's why I was trying to see what the dimensions are.
20, looks like it's 20 deep by the full width of the front, which is, how wide is that building?
45, maybe that's,
45 wide, I don't think.
something there that I thought maybe looked like 45, but I don't know.
I'll put 600 square foot, it says right on the application. Apartment 600 square feet.
Square foot, one bedroom in the bottom floor.
So is it it's a done deal? It's built and it's done?
Well, the only, yeah, it would behoove, yeah. It's not done, it's framed up.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Are you
If you
asking
were-
if the apartment is done?
Nothing's
Is the
really
apartment-
done. Well, it's all framed up, yeah. If it were not to get the conditional use permit, he wouldn't be able to use that apartment as an apartment. We could enforce that.
sounds like we're a couple of months behind.
Well, no, it's the risk, I think, to the property
Yeah.
owner to wait until he's already built most of the building and then come and get the permit with no guarantee that he's going to receive that permit. So I don't think, he didn't come, when he put the building permit plans in, he didn't come forward saying, this is what I want to do. It was after the fact. And then we said, well, if you're going to do this, which is different than you had originally said, then you're going to need a conditional use permit.
Uh-huh.
It's not going to change the fact that there's a building there and there's a dwelling above it.
Uh-huh.
The only thing that will change with this scenario is that he'd have a tenant there along with his dwelling.
Or a tenant or a B&B,
Or
I think is what he
B&B,
said.
yeah.
Yeah.
It does fit the character of all the other buildings around it. It's a dentist's office, like,
Yeah, but
It's
that's
actually
further-
next to the drive-down dock, and the cold storage is where this is located.
Pretty industrial area right there.
And this Olivia Olson's lot is between him and the cold storage, is the letter we got.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, she has a
It's
small
that
lot.
little lot right
Yeah.
in between,
Lot
yeah.
there, yeah.
And some tidelands right behind there, too, she owns. Yeah. I don't think there's anything on that lot right now. And then immediately after, north of her, is the entrance to the drive-down.
Yeah, that's, yeah, her property's that one right off the end of Tango there.
Yeah, that's got to be a extremely narrow lot.
Yeah.
I mean, is it even a build, well, I guess it's an industrial.
It's industrial, so you could build right to the property lines.
Right.
So, do we have any additional testimony besides that, the other letter that we received?
I did run it past the Harbor Department,
Mhm.
and they didn't object, but they're obviously concerned about when you
Setting
have...
precedent.
And when you have
Yeah.
residential in the industrial, and
Yeah.
the GLOW wanted to make it clear that the drive-down is open 24/7.
Yeah.
And I would say the same thing about the cold storage.
Yeah.
It runs 24/7. So,
Yeah.
and
Well, it is in a
I guess
definitely an industrial zone.
And she also mentioned that it's not necessarily the applicant or the person that builds, it's the next
Right.
owner where she feels like it becomes problematic because they weren't there when
Yeah.
it was the way it was.
Well, and it's immediately going against what we discussed in the comprehensive plan for that section of town. The comprehensive plan, we discussed that area was of importance to the industrial nature of the fishing community in town. And allowing more residential in that area was not something we wanted to really encourage.
I'd suggest you take a closer look at the terminology of a caretaker dwelling. Nothing in our power that we could stop what was originally planned to do there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the apartment that we're talking about
Yeah,
at this point.
still would be a residence, regardless if that apartment's there or not.
Yes.
Well, what's our options?
Well, basically, I would say the options are, if you approve it, it'll go on. If you disapprove it, we would have to do some sort of policing to see that he doesn't rent that apartment out.
The apartment's still there, but
No,
Is it done?
no, I said it's just framed up, there's no rock, I think there's plumbing, of course, underfloor plumbing. I haven't been in there lately. Since concrete got poured in this garage. I don't even know if the wiring's in it yet.
sounds to me like it's a done deal.
I'm kind of wondering if it could be used as commercial space.
The apartment?
Yeah. Apartments can make good office space. Somewhat.
I guess I'd want to know what he's planning on doing with it. I mean, is he going to use it as a rental or a B&B or
He said both.
both?
Either or.
Yeah,
Either
either
or.
or is what
Yeah.
it says in the application.
Yeah.
Curious to hear what Harold has to say.
Yes? Harold?
Well, I don't know. It looks to me like it's kind of done there. I would say that as long as they don't come back, like Olivia says, when she develops her industrial property and complain about it, I don't have any problem with allowing it.
I think that's one reason why you put that there is a conditional use permit for putting a residence in an industrial zone. So you go in with your eyes wide open, you know what you're dealing with. You can have, somebody having, a canning machine right next to you 24 hours a day, and you have no reason to complain because you put in for this conditional use permit to have a residence there, and this is what you get. Liz referred to the future owners. Well, somebody that comes into this and were to purchase this property, they'd have to see what is there already anyhow and know that it could be quite noisy sometimes.
Yeah, so just so they're not surprised now, I believe I've heard talk that situations like this have happened in the past, and people that are industrial have dwellings in industrially zoned property have complained about other uses around them. Is that not true?
Yes.
I rented a industrial barn one time, and The first time we worked past 11 o'clock at night, the cops were saying that either you're shutting down on your own or we're going to shut you down. You can't start work until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning either. And I know the shipwright in the past has been shut down for making noise. Not the current, when Fred was running it.
I can provide a lot of anecdotal information on the cold storage, but
Yeah.
I think you
that
can
too.
imagine, that you can imagine, yeah.
And more residential abutting the industrial as opposed to being right in the industrial, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, this is,
If you were residential next to industrial, yeah. Actually, it was industrial next to industrial, too.
Was it?
Yeah. It came from all sides.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember those days.
Yeah. I would say, though, that I don't, because someone has gone ahead and started doing something that they weren't supposed to necessarily do, I don't, in general, I don't feel like you should reward that, with that, or lean towards granting something because that's the case. If that's the case, then, I might as well just go start building whatever the heck I want, wherever I want, and then later I'll come back and ask for a permit, Joe. And with the expectation that the commission's going to grant that because I already spent money on it. And I don't think that's fair to people that go about it the correct way.
I agree. But back, and I know I stated this, but just the fact, when we talked about this, when this was in the planning stages, this did not have an apartment in it. It was a warehouse.
That was just warehouse downstairs.
Yes.
So the
When
apartment
he
was...
came in, when I think our offices were still downtown, I remember that he came in with these plans, and all of a sudden it had a small apartment in front, and that's where I brought forth the info that this is going to need a permit to follow up. So he was aware that this was subject to approval, disapproval by this commission. So, I mean, it wasn't.
And he continued to go ahead and build the apartment.
Yeah, because I said, you can build it. I'm not going to hold up framing and building because the building is allowed. I mean, you're allowed to build this building here.
Yeah.
What you're going to use it for is perhaps subject to something. So the building is there regardless of whether it has and there's a dwelling in there, regardless of whether there's a secondary dwelling or not. Legally.
So my understanding of the ordinance is you're going to have one caretaker dwelling.
That's what it says, yes.
Okay. I mean, that's what I'd like to, if you could pull out the actual ordinance.
Allowable uses for industrial. Allowable uses as we go, allowable, everything permitted in C1, A through D, C2, docks, wharfs, transportation, shipping facilities, warehouses, storage, marinas, facilities, boat storage, lumber mills. He could have a lumber mill next to him. And log, fish processing plants, manufacturing, fabricating, required essential services, automobile wrecking, junkyards, watchman, or caretaker dwelling. And that's all it says.
So maybe we could make the upstairs apartment be the watchman's quarters, and then caretaker can stay in the apartment.
It just, I think if I read that right, it says watchman or caretaker, not watchman and caretaker. Harold, sorry.
Okay. Oh, well.
Nice try.
Yeah, that was good one. And I don't believe either one of those occupations is defined in our ordinance. We've looked up to this one. Yeah. We just assumed or just, by its very nature, figured it was a reasonable thing, more intended probably for somebody who has like like Murgis's yard out there, having a caretaker down to watch over all the assets that are in there,
Or the cannery or something.
cannery,
You want to have
having
someone
somebody
there.
living on site there to watch over all the assets. That's, but you, like I said, on that waterfront, there's, the big house on the end of the dog trail there. I guess it's a bike path. I call it a dog trail. But yeah, the German, the Funt's house is a caretaker dwelling. Third one I thought there. Yeah, but that's two of the big ones there just in that stretch.
Well, there's Liz and John's and the little house that's right next door to them. They're
Yeah. By Tonka.
by Tonka.
And then that little house to the south of them. Yeah.
Yeah, but those houses were there before ordinances.
Oh, yeah. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
they're-
looking for.
They're just residences in the zone, not necessarily
Not built under the
under the
modern
current-
zoning.
Right.
Well, are we ready to take a vote on this, or do we want to have more discussion?
What are we voting on before we vote for sure?
Well, we have a motion on the table right now to approve this.
Approve 2 dwellings in this building?
To approve 2 dwellings in this building. And then we have to have another motion on the findings of fact, if that's the case, which means we have to write the findings of fact, or why we are going to allow that. So first, the motion to allow the second dwelling in the building is basically what we're voting on at this point. We have a motion on the table, and it's been seconded, so
Can
we'll
I call for
the
a
vote.
question?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
You might need a roll call on that one. Just, but maybe not, I don't know.
Chris?
Nay.
Ted?
Nay.
Dave?
No.
Otis?
No.
Richard?
No.
Harold?
Yes.
And since it's been denied, do we have to accept the findings of fact on that or not, Liz?
Yeah, we have to, when we send the letter saying that your
Okay.
thing is denied, I usually put in the reason why. So
Okay.
if this,
I would
if you want to add more, we can.
call
do
for a
that.
motion to accept the findings of fact as printed by the borough staff. That's on page 28. I think the sections in section 2 are the best description as to why. The subject parcel and surrounding area are zoned industrial, and activity used or in use in industrial areas. Dwellings, especially rentals, vacation rentals, are incompatible with industrial uses and not in keeping with the current or intended future use of this area. Industrial property, especially waterfront industrial, is in limited supply in our community. The intended use should not be preserved.
I make a motion that we accept the findings of fact.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Moving on. Consideration of an application from Raymond and Berthiel Evans for a minor subdivision at 405 Sandy Beach Road. And Liz, do you want to fill us in on what the details of that are?
Sure. The applicant has a large lot with a house on it, and they would like to subdivide that lot to allow for them to build a residence on the undeveloped portion of it.
Okay. And you have...
Yeah, the only conditions I put in were, I think this lot, and Rick can correct me if I'm wrong, it's in the floodplain area?
Yeah, there's a
Portion of it is? So,
there's a stream listed on one corner, kind of, or kind of going down the middle of it.
The new boundary line is right down that.
down the stream, okay.
Okay.
Would it be possible just to put on that plat that where the floodplain, that it's in the floodplain area? You don't do that? I think it's in.
Just,
The problem is that it's very difficult from the quality of the flood insurance rate maps to determine
That's my point, because it's really hard for us to tell, but I
Yeah.
think it'd be easier for you
well, actually,
to tell.
what's probably going to happen is the applicant is going to build a pad with rock, and at that point, we could apply for a letter of map amendment.
Mhm.
Like a Loma F,
Yeah,
and then they would be out of the zone.
okay.
is there sufficient ground that's above floodplain in there? No. Plenty? Okay. That's just all my concern is, as of now, there's sufficient ground that somebody could build there without issue. Okay.
Make a motion that we accept this subdivision.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have a motion to accept the findings of fact. Again, should have said on the last, we need to change dates on this, but in the findings of fact.
Yeah, well, I think we have, oh, perfect, thank you.
I'll leave that here.
Yeah, that'd be great, thanks. Yeah, it's up to you whether you want to keep the flood hazard area labeling or not. That's in the findings of fact right now. I can take that out if you want to take it out.
I think we should leave it in there, just so that,
I think we should, there should be listed that there's a flood hazard on that lot, or potentially that there is, so that anybody purchasing it knows that that's something they're going to have to address. That would just be my concern. But
I agree with that.
Yeah.
does that mean that there has to be a change on the plat, or does it just,
You just have to put in, reprint it on the Mylar that,
Put a note on the plat.
yeah, that's all it needs, it's just a note. I think that would be sufficient.
no, that'll work, yeah.
We'll do that.
call for the question?
We have a motion
Yeah.
on this? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good.
Okay. Consideration of an application from Petersburg Borough to vacate a portion of public easement 919 at Sandy Beach Road. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
A second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I got some real questions about this. I actually went out and spent quite a bit of time looking at, actually found the monuments and looked at the property. I also talked to Chris at length about it, and I understand her concern and definitely understand the Keeneman's concern, so particularly with the nature of that lot. I also understand the interest of the borough in trying to, raise revenue by selling this property. But I think there needs, two things. One thing, Chris Norris was pretty upset that she couldn't attend the meeting. She had made arrangements to be at the meeting, at our normally scheduled meeting. Then when we rescheduled it, she couldn't be here. So I think just in fairness to her, and since I don't see that there's any rush in this, I think we should delay this until she has an opportunity to be here.
I agree.
Before we talk about this any further.
Since this lot is, seems to be of great interest to the neighbors, I think we should make sure they can be here, number one. Number two, if the borough's just intent is to sell this lot, is it a possibility to discuss with people, with the neighbors, if they're interested in just subdividing and buying it? And
It has to be sold at public auction.
yeah, but
And
still.
Well, they can
Yeah,
obviously come to the
yeah.
auction and purchase the lot.
Can we subdivide this some way so it makes both people happy, that they can bid on?
You could subdivide it, but it still has to go to public auction.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be better for it to go to public auction, one of them to buy it and then subdivide it.
That's what
and
I
sell
would
the
say,
other
as
part
opposed to having the
to the
borough
adjoining. and
decide
rather
how
than-
it should be
yeah.
subdivided.
But you have to understand it's an expensive piece of property.
Yes,
I
understand
forget what
that.
the appraisal
It's
value.
180 is going to be the
Yeah,
minimum.
180 was the
Yeah.
appraised value
Yeah.
of it. So,
I'm just trying to look at what are the possible options.
yeah, I mean, that'd be the best option.
Yeah.
I think, but,
Yeah.
$180,000
Yeah.
is a lot of money.
Yes,
So,
I understand that. But, okay.
okay, so I think we should still talk about this so we can kind of familiarize ourselves with it, because I'm kind of confused. Because when I read the stuff that the Keeneman's had in there about whether there is indeed an easement or not, and then the next question is, then we have a motion to vacate something that might be there or might not be there. That's something I don't understand.
Yeah,
I mean, if we need to do that just to be on the safe side, basically is what I understand.
That's what I understand.
Okay, well, now when I looked at that piece of property, I don't understand how you're going to access it.
On the other side of the property line,
On which side? Because, I mean,
so if you look on page 59,
right.
and then you see that it's an as-built, and it has what is really, a gravel driveway, and it's 14 feet wide. That gravel driveway is built on a public access easement.
Okay,
all
that-
the way until you get to Chris's lot.
Right. Okay, so that's already an established easement.
That's what
Well, now my
DOT
question
says,
is,
that's what the
okay,
surveyor
well, okay.
says, so.
Okay, now my question is, okay, we're talking about, okay, so is the easement on that side, is it the same way as the easement on the other side? It might be there and it might not be there.
Well,
it the same deal?
easement on,
is the easement on that side what provides access to lot LA?
yes.
Okay.
So, okay, so I guess, so are we sure that is indeed an easement on the other side and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that?
So when you look at, I'm not sure if it's in here, but I think it is. There's US Survey, thank you, 3276.
Okay,
And that creates a 100-foot wide easement.
okay, so that's
that
essentially what I was
100-foot
trying to get at,
The
okay.
Where it gets, I think, hazy is the boundary of Survey 3276 is right on that property line. So I think there's some question there about whether that easement got created on the other side or not.
Right,
So that's where it's kind of a, it
So
may
it's
be,
one of those-
it may be not,
right, so we don't know if it's an easement or not.
But I guess,
And what you're talking about doing is vacating it even because it might be there?
right.
Okay,
And clarifying that about whether
Clarifying
it
it,
is or
okay.
not. But either way, the idea would be to set up, to eliminate that so that whoever did purchase the property, if they decided to develop it, they would have more land to develop. And then, in place of it, put in a 20-foot private access and utilities, that you could run utilities through the length of that lot, so they could have, whatever they wanted to do with that, they would have access for, and run utilities along it. So, which is what the utility wanted, so.
Okay. So, but still, you'd have to get some sort of agreement with, I don't know exactly which lot it is, JK.
That's a public access easement. so
Okay, that is a public access.
It's not a private easement.
That's
it's a
not a
public
private easement, okay.
And Alan, if I get anything wrong, just please jump in.
There is no easement on lot 10. Cart before the horse.
There is no easement on 10?
That's the easement in question.
That's what.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, but,
Right.
okay.
If you look at enclosure F2 that I provided to Liz, that's from DOT. That shows the established right-of-way on Sandy Beach Road and along U.S. Survey 3276. Which does not include the easement in lot. My patent does not include the easement.
You just catch an interview.
Yeah,
I just was told that some of you are coming across.
Oh, okay.
That's right, I forgot, Chris, if someone's speaking.
Well, it's not really appropriate to read the end of this. So.
It's up to the chair, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it's this one, which is a really poor shot. And that easement that's shown there, it goes along the northern boundary of 3276, U.S. Survey 3276. Does not encroach on Lot 10, although there is an encroachment off of that easement onto Lot 10 today.
Okay.
And if you look at the big version of this, and you look at the corner, my lot actually comes along, it comes down to 3276, it goes out 16 feet, it turns and comes back along the border of 3276.
Okay.
And I have not, that is the easement along 3276, which I've not been able to find in the archives. But I have seen that from Marion Henke way back when I bought the land, and it was for gravel removal from Sandy Beach. And it had a quitclaim deed in it, that when it was no longer needed for gravel removal, it reverted to the property owners.
And Tim, just for clarification, that's the one that is on the LAJKN, the southern part? I'm going to call it southern. This one, it's this one you're talking about? That was the gravel one?
This one right here.
Yeah, the one that everyone's using as their driveway.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes. Dave.
So Tim, if I understand correctly, then your understanding is that the easement is as it exists on those two lots right now?
I think the legality of that easement is in question because the original easement was for gravel removal from Sandy Beach Road.
I understand.
And the quitclaim deed means that everything then reverts to the landowner.
Well,
So Chris owns a chunk of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That leads me back to my question. How do you access this piece of property if we sell it?
Well, I don't understand that. You're correct, because the way my lot is developed, it comes back, and the only easement on my lot is for Sandy Beach Road,
Right,
not access into that.
right.
So there's a corner, and actually you can see on Allen's, that's not a monument, Allen, what do you call that? The one that's in the middle of the driveway.
Oh, the,
Mr. Chair, I did,
Dave.
when I went out and looked at it, I did see the one, like a new stake. That's right off the driveway. I was assuming that was the boundary line.
That's a property corner
Yeah, the corner.
toward the Sandy
Right.
Beach Road?
Point there at the end.
And I couldn't
Yeah.
find the other ones were all the other monuments, I don't know, maybe Alan could tell me, they're all the way down on the beach?
Yeah, the original monument that showed the edge of my property was destroyed when Sandy Beach was put in,
Okay.
when the road was put in.
Right.
Changed from a gravel road to a paved road.
That one's the one that's right up on the corner of your property there. Would be this one that you're referring to?
Well, my property actually comes like this 16 feet and then comes back down
Oh.
and then comes to the road.
Okay.
That's the way my property goes.
Okay, but these are the ones that were destroyed when they put in Sandy
Yes.
Beach, correct? Okay. Thank you.
And then, yeah, so I found the one monument, and then the others are on the beach, correct?
Right.
Okay, and there's 3 others out there on the beach?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, it's a confusing lot.
If I could just address, one thing I think we can agree on is land records are about as clear as mud on this stuff, so.
Yeah.
And the 2 points I want to make, the right-of-way that is on Lot 10, Tim and I both want the same thing. All I want to do is put essentially a note in public records that the right-of-way is gone.
There was somebody out here that I could talk to about getting rid of this crap now. Oh, yeah. Are you from the girl? Okay.
Harold, mute it.
Anyhow, the application to put in a deed saying that easement is gone would clarify the land record.
Harold.
Hello?
Can you mute their phone?
Say again?
Can you mute your phone unless you're speaking where you're bleeding through here a lot?
Oh, excuse me.
Okay.
So you got 2 easements, one on Lot 10,
Great.
and that's the one that, just to clarify land records, want to put a deed in there saying that you relinquish that. That's what I would recommend. Then you got the 50-foot easement on the other side that goes through those lots of 3276. And that easement has been reaffirmed by a subdivision done in 2008. The landowners said that, yes, that is an easement. So the present landowners dedicated that easement again on a subdivision.
So there is a agreement on the easement on the lot JK and LA.
Right.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Do you know the nature of that agreement for those 3 lots? I mean, is that a public easement? So that means that is a deeded public easement?
Yes.
And if it's on record, then that could be used as the access to that property,
Yes.
I think.
Okay.
That is the intended access of the
That is,
property.
okay. That's my question. I think Tim's got we got another comment.
Yes.
That easement goes across my property. There is no easement across my property. It's going across the corner of my property.
The easement I'm speaking of is strictly on 3276.
Right.
And that's not part of your property.
That's right, 3276 abuts with the property.
It abuts your property. That's correct.
So that easement stops, and then my property's in there, and then you have Sandy Beach Road.
But I believe that
Public Works, this is Karen. Okay.
Well,
hold on just a second.
if we were just looking at government lot 10 there, but I believe there's access, all this is access here onto here.
I agree that there's a Sandy Beach Road access
Yeah.
in there, Alan, and that's what this is showing. But there's this corner that this driveway goes across.
Well, they can move the driveway this way if need be, if they're
They could move the
encroaching.
driveway towards a power pole.
If they're encroaching on your property, yes.
Yes.
But there's still an area for easement
Yeah, as long as-
or access.
As long as JK, is agreed, then yes, they could access it,
And they have signed a plat saying they agree to.
but I have not.
But it's not, that property is not yours, though.
Well, it is down here. See, the problem is partially where Sandy Beach Road is and what people consider the 50-foot right-of-way.
If they are, this 50-foot right-of-way here is on 3276, which is not part of your property.
That's correct, 3276 abuts my property right here.
And once again, any access can go through the 3276 one and bypass your
It
property.
could if the driveway was moved.
So they can, if it's encroaching, then they can move it.
Yes.
We agree on that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because whoever plows there each year comes by because there's a telephone pole laying there.
Yeah.
And they come by each year and move it, and I move it back to the property line each year, and they come by and continue.
But that would be, that's a separate problem from access to this, that if they're encroaching on your property, then it needs to be moved off.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions?
I think I understand. So there is access to this property, we think?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
We more than think.
okay.
It seems like that the existing road is just encroaching across another lot the way it is now, but there is a legal easement another way if it had to be run just right next to where the road basically is now at this point. I guess because of some of these issues and that there are people who would like to be here to discuss part of this, do we want to table this until the next meeting, since there is no immediate rush in getting this processed, and we can try to get something that's a little more resolved as far as what some of these issues are.
I would just say that the borough did advertise that
Yeah.
they were going to put these out for auction in September, but that's been pulled back, date to be determined, based
Okay.
on when the planning commission completes its work.
So could I ask a question? The intent's to sell it as one lot at this time?
Yes.
And then the other thing that I had a question on is some of the verbiage here. I don't know exactly where it is. Where it's on, I don't know what page it is here.
There's a big red numbers for me at the top.
Yeah, no, there's no red number on this
No?
one. It's staff report. Anyway, it's section 6. Future land use for the subject parcel is waterfront B, defined as areas on or near the waterfront, where waterfront location is key to value of the use. Examples include residential, lodging, restaurants, select retail. Use must be sited and designed to take advantage of waterfront values and maintain the scale of single-family detached residential buildings. So my question is the zoning, what is the zoning on this parcel right now? Single-family?
Currently, it's public use,
Public use?
but public use allows for single-family residential development. And
So somebody could build a lodge there?
not without
Could they-
changing,
Could they build a restaurant?
no,
Could you put a retail store there?
no.
Why is that in there?
Because that is that's the definition that was used in the comp plan.
Okay,
So basically, the idea is looking at, within the parameters of single-family residential, you might broaden the scope and waterfront areas. It does not mean commercial, retail, blah, 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 blah. It's looking at something that hasn't been written yet. But the idea is, when you're on the waterfront, you want to allow for a variety of uses. I can't guarantee anything, obviously, because it's not done yet or approved yet, but I wouldn't foresee single-family residential on Sandy Beach Road turning into a mixed commercial use under waterfront B.
well, that's my understanding of why you have zoning.
Exactly,
Okay,
right?
so that leads to the next question, is if this is zoned right now as public use, I mean, I would feel a lot more comfortable if we put this up for sale, that we go through the process and zone it as single family.
That's what I would recommend as well.
Yeah,
I don't
I mean-
think you should
Right.
leave it
I mean, but.
unclear, you know?
I understand that, but to
Yeah.
do that, then we have to go through a process, and that has to be approved by the Borough Assembly, if I'm not correct.
Well, that's been noticed as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so
Yeah.
you're,
All right, all
you're in the
right,
middle of
okay.
that other process as
Okay,
well.
no, that's the
So
next one.
that's
Okay.
the next one, is to move
Right,
from
okay.
public use to single family. And
Okay,
we're,
right. Oh, yeah.
right now, we're just vacating the easements when we're discussing.
Right.
And, I mean, we could take action on vacating the easement on that lot if it's, because it's just affecting that lot, it's not affecting the other lot, unless we feel we need to table it until additional people are here neighbors are here to discuss it further. I still think that there was interest in purchasing a portion of that easement, or that lot.
There is.
But,
I think that would be, it'll be interesting to see, because usually when the borough puts property up for sale, it's always at public auction. And so it would be interesting to put up
Yeah.
a small portion up for sale that this person is requesting and put that up for public auction. Probably not appropriate.
Yeah, not
Then you're
really.
No, not really at all.
Well, that wouldn't be in the borough's favor, because I think the price would be small if you're selling
well, you've got a limited,
you've got a limited
pool of buyers for that small of a piece
Yeah.
of property.
Very limited.
So-
Yeah. And you'd probably have to do it in conjunction with replatting both of those lots, because we won't be able to subdivide and create a lot that size. So we'd probably do something similar like we did with the Jensen Norheim, where we had to replat all of those at the same time. So
Yeah, it would-
it's doable, but it's,
It would probably be better in the interest of people involved possibly to sell, to just remove the easement on that one part other than the utilities easement and sell the lot, and then they can come back if they purchase and want to purchase part of it. You know, because they'd have to do it as a replat. There's no way it could be done where the borough could plat it and then sell just a small piece, because it's too small of a lot.
I guess you could give yourself a platting variance. And create, I suppose, I mean, I think there's always a way to get there if you want to go through all the steps to get there. It's awkward.
I've got a question.
So,
Yes.
Well, I think what you're talking about, the microphone should be able to pick
Yes.
up. I think what you're talking about is trying to resolve that encroachment that's already there. And you just talked about that with respect to to Bill,
finish?
industrial lot. You know, you're rewarding someone for violating the regulations for a good number of years.
Yeah, well, it's
What you're doing.
what we're saying, we can't subdivide to that small parcel. It would be better to just sell that parcel and then if the neighbors want to purchase it, and then subdivide it.
You don't want to give,
Yeah.
you don't want to give the buyers a pig and a poke to solve when they buy it. They should be
Yeah.
able to buy it, understanding that they can develop the land.
Yeah.
Without going through 4 or 5 different steps.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be developed as its own lot if that other easement is, which we understand is correct, even though, well, the way it is right now, it goes across the corner of your lot. It could be moved over to the side and be legal, so,
Well, I thought you were talking about the encroachment that's down towards Chris's lot.
yeah. No,
So you've got a number of issues that have
Yeah.
to be resolved.
yeah,
And I understand you guys have inherited, you know, a set of regulations and things that have accumulated through years of I don't know what I want to call it, you know, but lack of attention. Like I said earlier in my testimony, I provided with the city 3 different times in the last 30 years my as-built and identified this problem. It's just that they've been ignored over time.
yeah.
That's
Well,
the
that's the
frustration,
thing,
and as when you go to, you know, it's cost me $15,000 to pump my sewage up on my lot, and the lot that Chris is on doesn't have that requirement. Matter of fact, when I first came to Petersburg in 1970, I used to go down to the beach on my days off from icicle and look at nudibranchs and things. There was a eelgrass bed in Sandy Beach. Well, that's gone. It's probably gone because of pollution. That's one of the indicators in Puget Sound. It's a historic indicator, is eelgrass. The nudibranchs and the other things that were there. I mean, I'm a fishery guy, so, those things were important. But, as the city grows, and the demands increase, and people's biases enter into things, then the problems increase.
Yeah.
And that's what you have.
Then
my personal preference would be to solve the issues at one time and then go to it, not solve them piecemeal.
Yeah. Thank you.
maybe it's the elephant in the room. It's designated public use. Why not just leave it alone?
That is a possibility
I
as
think
well.
that's the simpler issue, really. you
Right.
know.
I mean, just to be honest, just why not? I'll make a motion to the effect right now that we just table, that we just table the entire proposal. And I don't know, there's several motions.
You want
we
to
have make.
postpone?
Yeah, postpone, yeah. Yeah, I think we need to postpone this. I think, and then,
Second.
yeah, there's a bunch of other issues I think we need to, and we need to get Chris here and the
Yeah.
adjacent neighbors here. And then if you guys have an opportunity to go down and take a look at it, if you develop that lot, boy, you basically are going to have to go in there and cut down all the timber on it, because if you don't, it's going to just land on,
Yeah.
it's going to land on your house. And, well, I don't know, the wind blows every direction out there. So I don't know, it's going to be, yeah, so maybe our next meeting, we all have an opportunity to go out and take a closer look at it. Because I understand the borough's desire to raise revenue, but,
Maybe that's not the best parcel to
maybe that's not the best one to start with.
start with, yeah.
Could you, I just would like to know what questions you would like answered in the intervening time, if there are any.
I would be concerned, one, with the easement issue, just to make sure everything's clear as to what the easement to that property
I
is.
think that's the issue, is that
Yeah.
it's not clear, so that's why we want to
Well,
clarify it,
yeah,
in terms of the one that's on the lot.
Yeah, the one that's, provides access, has somebody got a document that says that is a legal easement?
Well, I
that we
think in
can-
your packet,
I didn't-
on pages 54 and 55, these are from the state of Alaska when they did Sandy Beach Road. And I think you can see on 54 and 55 that the state is showing there's easements there, and those are from the surveys. And also from the original survey that was done, created that.
To be honest with you, I can't read this, and it wasn't in the file that this wasn't in the, was this in the computer, the latest one? Okay.
No.
I
But we
missed
can get
this.
better copies so you
Yeah.
can see it.
Yeah, if we could get better copies, that
That's
would
fine.
be helpful.
And then I guess my question is, why are we selling this, or why do we need to sell this piece of property now, outside the fact we need money? Did I
My
have-
understanding that the money would go to the Property Development Fund, and that's being used to pay for the renovation of the municipal building.
Okay.
And that budget, when they approved the funding plan for the municipal building, it included selling X dollars of borough property. I can't remember what the figure was, but I think it was like 250,000, 300,000, something like that.
But the borough does have their property they could sell. They have quite a bit of property. So there's no compelling need that this has to happen right now.
I think the interest was in selling property that already had water and sewer to it and utilities to it.
Okay.
And also an interest in selling property that would be easily developable to add to the tax roll. So that
Okay.
was why certain properties were chosen over others.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I think this one just seems to be. But I think if we can resolve the issues, then we can have a better idea of whether or not it's still feasible.
So beyond the access, just trying to clarify that there is access to, legal and practical access to the lot.
Practical access to that lot.
Okay. And I'm not sure, we're going to be able to get any closer on whether there is or is not an easement on that Lot 10. I've seen a couple of things showing there is, more things showing there isn't, and a title search didn't help either way. It didn't show anything in terms of supporting that claim.
Is there an issue to vacate the easement, just if we go in and say, okay, we want to vacate this easement, whether it exists or not, to make sure there's no easement there other than what a public utilities easement we're asking for in there?
I don't think you would cause any detriment to Lot 10 by vacating the easement that may or may not exist within Lot 10. You're just clarifying that if there, that's what a quitclaim deed is. If there is interest in this, then we're vacating it or extinguishing it.
Okay.
So that's, here or there.
Okay.
And then the last one would be the sale, and I don't know, I can look and see if it is possible to carve off, like what you would need to do to carve off a portion that was smaller than a standard lot, if you wanted me to do that, like what that would entail.
That would make it so that an auction wouldn't work, wouldn't it?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have to auction,
But like I said, you're not trying to make the decision. I'm just trying to answer questions.
Well, I mean, the ideal situation is for the adjacent landowners to purchase the property.
Yes.
But long-term, that still doesn't solve the problem because,
Yeah.
somebody in the future might want to subdivide it or sell it again, so. So I have two concerns. I want to make for sure Chris can be here because she's expressed quite a few concerns.
Yeah.
I don't see the rush in it, and we need to definitively determine that we do have legal access to that lot.
Yeah.
I guess.
I agree. So, we have a motion to table this till the next?
Postpone.
Postpone?
Postpone.
Second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And since E is basically tied to F, do we want to do a separate motion or just consider that?
I think you can postpone it and not go ahead and do
We
the
do a
motion.
motion on that or not?
I think if you don't do anything with it, it might just for keeping it all clean, why don't you go ahead and postpone?
Okay.
And that way, it's not like
We have a motion to
It dropped off
postpone
the agenda or anything.
the rezone on the 919 Sandy Beach Road.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Let's, consideration of an application from Patrick Fowler for home occupation at 707 Rambler Street. Do we have a motion?
I move we approve that.
I
Second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? Sounds like it's a very limited operation, so I don't have any objections.
I don't either, except I'll just make my standard comment. I don't even know why we're having to approve home occupation like this. I know.
I think it's probably just, it's in the rules, and it gives people a chance to come in and comment about whether or not it's going to be a concern to them.
Okay, I understand.
And I guess I didn't ask yet, Patrick, there's plenty of parking there, and I think I drove by, there's plenty, you got parking for 3, 4-player vehicles?
That's right.
If you do have somebody come to pick something up or something?
Yeah, you can park four.
Yeah. Okay, just, I didn't know that, you guys never asked that, so I just know you.
Yeah.
Give me my.
It sounded like most of it was going to be very limited use anyway, so.
Just to let you know, page 70 has similar conditions that we've set on other home occupations, which you can adjust accordingly, but it's what the commission has approved lately.
Yeah.
Good to me.
Good to me. Need further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have a motion to accept the findings of fact as written by borough staff and conditions?
Where's that?
That's on page 70.
Okay. This is the,
With the date change.
Conditions are on 70, yeah. Findings of fact are on 69. Okay.
I move that we accept the findings of fact.
a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving on to new business. All right, yep. Acceptance and scheduling a public hearing for Rob and April O'Neill for variance of the side yard setback requirement to allow enclosure of an existing deck 7 feet from the property line on 610 Sandy Beach Road. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Acceptance and scheduling a public hearing for an application from Amber and Forrest Parsley for an conditional use permit to allow a trailer during construction of a rural residential district 779 Mitkoff Highway.
I make a motion to accept.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consideration of an application from Chris Norose to purchase a borough-owned property at 919 Sandy Beach Road.
I think this is tied into the issue we were discussing earlier on
Yeah, I think,
lot 9 and 10.
I think though if we accept it, then we have it on the,
You don't have to accept, so you could have taken action on this one if you so
Yeah.
choose right now, so
Yeah.
you could just postpone it and we'll put it back on the,
so we have a motion to postpone for
Yes.
next meeting?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Schedule of a public hearing for proposed pedestrian trail between undeveloped right-of-way at Odin Street, between Queen Street and Nosema Street, and Pearl F. Street, between Lumber Street and Hogue Alley. And that's on the last page, I believe, of the packet.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there's no land use permit per se associated with this, but we thought it would be a good idea since it cuts through quite a few residential areas and goes across several right-of-ways, that we just go ahead and have a public hearing and notice.
Let people
Yeah.
comment on it.
We'll notice all of the property owners within 600 feet and just get the input on the proposed route and just go from there.
And it's all being built on borough properties?
It is all on borough property. There is one portion that may or may not go across airport land.
Okay.
Some of our maps show that a portion of a right-of-way that's right adjacent to airport land isn't there, but
Okay.
I'll have to go back and reread the legal description on the airport boundary to see whether it's
Okay,
there or not, so.
all right. It should be good to have that clarification.
Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, I would love to be able to provide it, for sure.
Yeah. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, discussion items. Reschedule future planning commission meetings to the third Monday of the month. I just need to know in advance as to when our meetings are going to be so I can plan my trips out of town around them. So,
The third Monday of next month is the 19th. Is that right? Okay. And you wanted to meet after the borough meeting? So it'd be like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock?
2:30?
Okay. I'm flying in that day from Sitka, so I should be here, but I haven't heard back from Harris or exactly what time they're flying that day yet. The other possibility is I could be maybe taking a ferry, so I'd be in maybe even a little bit later. And then Southeast Conference is also starting that next day too, so there's a bunch going on in town.
I think Fire Conference is in Anchorage or Fairbanks that week, and I'm pretty interested in going. It'd be the first time for me. So that may not work. I don't know yet, though.
If I may, I set this up today in about 30 minutes.
It's gotten better.
Yeah, it's not crucial. So if you guys want to go back to your regular second Tuesday of the month, that.
Second Tuesday. No,
Second
we're-
Tuesday's the 13th. I'll be here.
wait,
Work for me.
I'll be here, so.
I mean, I can do that Monday, but I might be late, or it might be better to do it. You know, I'll know by tomorrow when I'll be back.
Have to send out,
Iffy and Richards.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's not gonna,
That's 2 iffies, not bad, good.
Yeah, when's Yancey? When's he back?
I don't know, he's fishing, so.
Is he,
I would really like to be able to use that Doodle website that I sent out to everybody, that you can pick the days that work for you, and then it automatically,
oh, right.
Counts the votes, yeah. Yep.
But you wanted to, we have to go on each day we're available, then? Yeah, just click, okay.
Yeah, it's just checking boxes.
All right. Yeah, I didn't spend the time, long enough time to read that part.
Pretty easy.
Get it to read?
No.
You
guess the
type
only
your name in and
Thing would be, far as public notices and things, if we were going to do it the 13th, we would need to know that, like today, so that we could, right? You have a doctor's appointment.
I can cancel.
Are you gone that whole week?
yeah, probably.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Well, from what I understand, Harold works 2 months on, 2 months off. So he should be available in September.
So probably not till, because Southeast Conference, I've got Southeast Conference board meetings on that Monday too,
Yeah.
and Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yeah, that whole week, yeah. I got meetings. Yeah, that's going to be a busy week.
The last week?
I will be here until I'll be here until the 28th.
Can we do the 27th?
That's good.
Sure.
27th of September?
It's a Tuesday.
I'd really like to go moose hunting.
I was going to say moose hunting. Is anyone going moose hunting? Harold's probably going moose hunting.
It opens on the 15th. You'll
You-
already have
you'll-
one notice.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
We need to do it? There's nothing that we have to do by the 13th, is there?
No, we don't. It would be nice to be able to give people plenty of notice since we haven't been able to do that so well in the last couple of times that the meetings were canceled and then rescheduled, so.
Can we potentially talk about October too, to try to get that lined up? Because I know I'm traveling in October, but I have not set my dates yet because I'm trying to make sure I'm in town for the meeting. So,
If we do the 27th of September, we'll have to do the last week in October.
No.
okay.
I will be gone, tentatively gone the last week of October right now. Yeah, actually. I should be back first part of November. And then I'm here all in November. December.
Halloween to October, yeah.
I know.
Still is.
I don't need to go moose hunting the first week.
My schedule's wide open. Just thought I'd throw that in.
So we're looking at the last week in October. If
Yeah,
Harold is 2 months on, 2 months off, he should be here in October, which would get you off the hook.
yeah, I can call in. I just won't be here in the flesh.
And it's after the election too, by that time, correct?
Right. So will we have anybody on the board then?
Yeah, I think we'll have 4. No, I think, well, unless other people sign up.
We have one.
I got a call that there was 2.
Oh, is there? Okay.
We've got 3, 2 of which are already on there.
We've got 2 going for reelection and one
New one?
new one.
Okay.
So,
And how many years?
Did Harold re-sign up?
I don't know.
Is Harold on the list?
No, he got appointed.
He was appointed, so he has to get on the
Yes.
board.
I don't
Yeah.
think he was.
Harold and Richard was.
I was elected.
You were
Was it
elected.
Yancey or-
2 years.
Yancey was
Otis
also appointed.
Yancey was appointed,
He did? Okay.
so.
The call sounded like there was
Once
7
the-
people
you'll
on
have-
the, going to be on the board now with the, who signed up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
so
would be,
so theoretically, we'll have enough people then.
I'm working on someone else. They got till 5 o'clock today.
Might have some competition.
So if you weren't here in the flash and on the phone, we theoretically would be able to do it the last week in October.
Right. Yeah, no, I'll be
Everybody else.
available.
What day are we talking about? Last week of October?
When it works.
Wide open for
I
me.
might be gone on Monday,
I think Tuesdays are
but otherwise,
better. We're looking at the 25th.
Sure. I'm going to be in Missouri. Why not?
It's cooling off by then.
Yeah, I know.
We may even have snow by then.
I better not.
Is everybody okay with Tuesday, September 27th at 2:30 or 2 o'clock?
I don't like that.
September 27th?
We have Southeast Conference the week of the 19th, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so everybody's going to be crazy.
Yeah, so we either have to do it the 13th or the 27th.
And I don't have time.
Okay.
September, I'll be here, yeah.
2:30 works better for me, just because Then I just take off the rest of the day at work.
2:30 works for me, too.
So same on October 25th?
Unless you wanted to do it on the week of the 18th, I'll be here. Oh, that's right, it's Alaska Day, right. Forgot. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Okay, so September 27th and October 25th, is that what we have? Okay. So if it turns out, plans change, if anyone cannot make it either one of those days, could you just let us know as soon as you know so that
Was September 27th?
27th at 2:30?
I'm planning not to be here.
Okay. But if we really need you and we tell you where a moose is, could you be here?
Or if you just get lucky and
If you get a
blast it
moose.
on the first day.
Well, I wasn't going to go the first day, so.
Go the first day. Anyway, yeah, so Otis, you aren't going to plan on being here.
Unless I get hurt or something or get a moose right away, I won't be here.
We'll be hoping for the moose.
I know where one's at.
We'll be rooting for you.
And Dave, you won't be here the 25th,
I'll
right?
be here.
Okay. All right, so we still need to make sure that we're going to have 4 present here in person on those days, right? Okay.
Well, if there's,
I got one more question.
okay.
What about Kissinger?
Yeah, I was going to ask that, too.
Oh, that's going to be on the agenda for September, yeah. Thank you for reminding me, but yeah, I'll have it on the agenda to revisit that issue on the September meeting. Do you want me to send notices anywhere, or just to Everett and to Russ, or?
I think that, yeah, at least those two guys.
Yeah, those two, obviously,
Yeah,
but.
just
any-
tell them we're going to meet, when we're going to meet, and they can be here
Okay,
Yeah.
if they can.
okay, we'll do that.
I think we need to have both of them here.
And do you want this as an informational or an action item, or what are you thinking? I mean, I guess you don't really have
Well,
to
I
decide, but
mean,
if it's an
we
action
don't-
item, then we.
We don't have to do any action, because we already put stipulations in a.
You did.
And that he was going to move the sawmill to the other side of the property and put up soundproofing, and
If I remember correctly, I think what you said was that he should look at that.
Yeah. That's kind of the way I felt. And
I don't
I
think you-
just talked to
Yeah.
one of his friends the other day and asked if he'd moved it, and they didn't know.
I don't know, I don't think that it was you move it or we're going to revoke the permit. It was more,
well, then
look
maybe
at
we-
moving it and seeing.
Maybe-
if-
So to take some steps, I think, is what we discussed
Yeah,
try to
just
resolve
see if
the
there was
issue.
something that he could do that would
Yeah.
help. So that's what you were
Right.
checking in on. Yeah.
And we're just checking in to see if it
I
has
guess
helped.
We could just meet with them in town here, too, I guess, at our meeting.
Yeah, I'll have it on the agenda and invite him to the meeting so you guys can talk to him.
Yeah.
We don't have to, I don't know what it'd do to look at it.
Could we empower Otis to go out and take pictures and do on the ground,
All of you could do that, yeah.
yeah, but I mean, it's, yeah. Would you mind doing that?
I don't
Give a
mind doing
report?
that.
Yeah. And then, since you know.
Well, I can go out there and look around and tell you what.
Yeah, because, both Russ and Everett, so
Yeah.
why don't you go out and see what's going on?
I think they're both good guys. I want them both.
No, I know, that's why I want them both happy, too.
Yeah.
So I'll just put it as informational, like checking in on it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not, that's for December?
For September.
For September.
I wasn't going to come to that.
Well, now maybe you will, yeah. I think that's what we had said when we met with them, is you guys, I think, said that it would be at the end of the next summer is when we would check in again, if I remember correctly. So, and I know you brought that up before, and we talked about having it in September. We could do it in October, if you would prefer to have it October, so that you could.
Well, I can go out there anytime and.
No, for the meeting, if you
Yeah.
wanted to have it on the October agenda, it's up to you guys, I mean.
Why don't we put it on the agenda next time? If Otis is here, we'll do it, and if he's not, then we'll do it in October.
Okay.
Okay.
We can always postpone it.
Yeah, we can just postpone it.
Fair enough.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I so moved.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You and I got to sign some stuff.
Yes.
Oh, Chris, are you around for a while?
What?
Are you in town for a while?
Yeah.
I need to get a lumber order in with you,
Okay.
or some